Bit late on this one, but I got my Alien shirt on, so let's do this. Alien Covenant is directed by Ridley Scott. It is the 6th film in the Alien franchise, following chronologically after Prometheus, and it stars Katherine Waterston and Michael Fassbender. It tells the story of a colonization mission from the spaceship Covenant, who is going out to, try and populate a new planet with human life. They're carrying 2,000 colonists, thousands of little human embryos, and then they have a small, colonization crew to get things all set up and terraform. And they hear a distress call from a nearby planet that also seems suspiciously inhabitable. And they go to check it out, and then, crazy shit starts happening. I am among the few who didn't hate Prometheus. I actually quite liked it. I do think that it was very badly marketed. I think that it probably shouldn't have been teased as an Alien prequel, because it's really a distant spiritual prequel to Alien, whereas Alien Covenant now is definitely more of an Alien prequel than Prometheus was. Still not quite, but we're getting there now. I do hope Ridley Scott doesn't continue and make like 6 more films, because I've heard that's what he wants to do, and I really don't want that. But yeah, so Alien Covenant follows Prometheus, and it really ignores a lot of Prometheus. It kind of jumps a lot more into the alien parts of the story that y'all love so much and really wanted to see. So those of you who didn't like Prometheus, you're probably going to like Alien Covenant. I happen to like Prometheus, and I liked Alien Covenant. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to dive right into it. Right off the bat, this is a visually beautiful film. It's Ridley Scott, so I'm not surprised. Every single bit of visuals in this movie is breathtaking, especially on the planet that they land on. It's just all absolutely gorgeous. You have these really absolutely beautifully designed necropolises of just dead bodies piled upon one another, forming this big empty city. It's really astounding, and it's really cool, and every second it's on screen is absolutely breathtaking. It's designed so perfectly to emulate the same design style as the Nostromo in Alien. You tell it takes place before Alien, but their overall design of the ship is very, very similar. It actually gave me a lot of times Alien Isolation vibes, like the game, because I was having some flashbacks to that shit when I was watching this movie, and that was a nice reminder of horrifying times. But yeah, overall, visually, this movie is just really astounding. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a very, very pretty movie. Acting is pretty great across the board. I don't think there were any weak actors. James Franco's literal 2-minute appearance is absolutely hilarious to me. He's on screen, and he's gone. Danny McBride really surprised me, because, I know he's trying to do a lot more serious work now, and seeing him in this, he gave a really strong performance. Katherine Waterston, she's always really excellent, although I wish somebody would style her hair differently in her movies, because I didn't like her hair in this, I didn't like her hair in Fantastic Beasts. But, of course, the one who I'm really going to talk about is Michael Fassbender, because, holy shit, the man is incredible. He is so breathtakingly good in every single film he's in. And in a movie like this, where he's playing 2 roles, which is amazing, he just shines like a freaking diamond. He is so good, and he is so likable and so terrifying all at the same time. He's just one of the best actors working today, and I truly believe that. He is the best part of this film. Let's talk about the overall, atmosphere of the movie. It's certainly less claustrophobic than Alien, but it's a nice bridge between Prometheus and Alien, in that you get the really tense claustrophobic horror of Alien in parts of it, but you also get the really vast adventure landscapey style of Prometheus as well. So it's a nice mishmash of the two in a way that it never feels quite unbalanced. And then, of course, you have, in a movie called Aliens, you need the aliens. I know that was a very big complaint of people's with Prometheus, is that, there were no xenomorphs in this movie. And there's no xenomorphs in this movie. You have the Deacon at the end, kind of, but it's more just a tease to say, hey, here's your fucking alien. Whereas Alien Covenant, you still don't have any xenomorphs in this movie, but you have something close to xenomorphs in this movie. There's actually quite a few things close to xenomorphs in this film. So first and foremost, you have the new creatures that Ridley Scott was referring to as the Neomorphs, which are proto-xenomorphs that are essentially these slimy, white, spiky, humanoid aliens that are not quite genetic perfection yet, and they're really weird beluga whale looking motherfuckers. Very strange. They have no mouths until they actually open them, where their face is completely flat, and then their mouth will just kind of like open from their skin, and it looks really cool when that happens, but when that's not happening, they look very strange. One thing I love about Prometheus and about this movie is seeing the life cycles of these creatures and the way that the black goo from Prometheus affects these things and makes them mutate and creates new life. So seeing the effect, seeing how the neomorphs came to be, and seeing how they gestate in the form of starting as spores that enter any orifice and then burst out of a body through wherever they can. It's not a chest burster yet. You have a scene of one bursting through a man's back. You have a scene of one ripping itself out of a guy's throat. It's cool. And then, of course, you've got the almost xenomorph, as I like to call it, because it's not a xenomorph. I know some people are definitely going to think it is, but you can tell just by the way it's birthed that it is something different. It's not quite there yet. It's not quite the perfect organism yet. It looks exactly like a xenomorph, though. Although, if anything, it's a little more organic looking than the more biomechanical creatures that we've seen in Alien and Aliens. But this thing, which, I think some people are calling it a protomorph or whatever, it's essentially a prototype xenomorph, so it makes sense. It's very scary. It's very feral. It's not quite as methodical as the xenomorphs from future films, but it is still absolutely terrifying once it does show up. Although, mind you, that is not until later in the film. One other thing I really want to just talk about before I flip to negatives, the gore in this movie is wow. It is very gory. It is quite brutal at times. Like I said, you have scenes of things tearing themselves out of people everywhere. The throat burster bit was really cool. I know someone gets their jaw ripped off by an alien's tail. There's a lot of really cool stuff. There's also a really great kill toward the end of the film that I'm not going to spoil because it's so sick and so cool. But now that I'm touching on that, I'm going to use that as a springboard into the negatives because a lot of the gore is very CGI. And that is a big issue I had with this film, is that the CGI was not great. At times it looked very cool, but at other times it was too polished, if that makes sense. Things looked too digital at times, and that is really evident during the chestburster sequence. It looks very digital and very video game graphics. It doesn't look really there, and that bothered me. You get certain shots of the protomorph and the neomorphs that look kind of digital as well, and they don't really look fully immersed in this world. So that really kind of bothered me. One other gripe I had with the film is just that there are so many characters in this movie. There are a lot. There's, I think, something like 12 to 15 crew members. And because of that, you don't get a lot of development with all of them. You get some with some characters, but it's hard to develop all 12 to 15 of them because there's no time. It's a 2-hour film, and you've got X number of characters, and it's really hard to explore each and every one of them. So you have certain ones that just kind of seem more like stereotypes than anything. But at the same time, they are all still likable, so I can't really complain that much. The other thing that really kind of got on my nerves, and this is really my only other negative for the film, is that it is rather predictable at times. There were a lot of moments where I knew what was coming and I wasn't surprised at all when it ended up happening. There were only a couple things that actually managed to surprise me, and I'm not going to get into that too much, but one character's survival really shocked me because I was not expecting that. More than anything, it was just easy to predict where the film was going, and I wish it made more efforts to surprise me. But, all that being said, I did really like Alien Covenant. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as Alien or Aliens, but I don't know how it really ranks next to Prometheus. I haven't watched Prometheus in a while. I will review that soon. But what I can say is that it is successful in answering a lot of the questions that Prometheus posed, while also posing new questions and also developing the lore of this universe even more in a way that is, I'd say, very satisfying. And I think that fans of the Alien franchise are going to enjoy it. I think that fans of just gory sci-fi insanity are going to enjoy it. And I would say that Alien Covenant is solid. It's definitely worth a watch. I would say to check it out, but it is absolutely worth watching. It's very, very cool. I really would like to talk about the most homoerotic scene in the world between Michael Fassbender and himself. There's a scene where Michael Fassbender makes out with himself. That was gay and all, but you have another scene where he's teaching himself, where David is teaching Walter to play the recorder. And it is quite honestly one of the most amazingly homoerotic scenes I've ever watched. It is really bizarre and also quite beautiful, if that makes sense. The movie's worth seeing for that alone. For seeing Michael Fassbender kiss himself is really amazing. Overall, I just thought this was a really strong film. I think it had like a couple issues, like I mentioned, but more than anything, it's just fun, and it's really a solid follow-up to Prometheus and a solid prequel to Alien. I think this is probably more along the lines of what people wanted from Prometheus. So I think if you check this out knowing it's an actual Alien prequel this time, you're going to enjoy it. It's actually pretty solid. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. And, if you like me and this channel, you can click down there and like and comment and subscribe, and we'll have more reviews for you soon. Thanks so much. Let me out!